This news article is about the Golden State Warriors' hopes of trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo, receiving a significant setback. Key points. Warriors have been wanting to trade for Giannis for years. ESPN's Shams Charania reported that Giannis is increasingly frustrated with Milwaukee. His representatives are exploring possible trades and doing serious due diligence. Multiple teams were discussed internally, but one emerged as a preferred destination outside Milwaukee. New York Knicks. There were trade discussions between Bucks and Knicks this offseason, but they never managed to close a deal. Mikal Bridges signed a contract extension on August 1st, making him ineligible to be traded for 6 months, which creates obstacles for New York. Giannis has 2 years left on his current contract and could control the situation by telling teams he won't stay beyond those years. Charania called next summer the peak leverage moment. For Giannis, this seems to have ended the Warriors' long desire for Giannis, dating back to 2019. A visit to Bay Area in May for a Google product launch was supposedly a sign of his interest in the Warriors have been trying to get a star play alongside Steph Curry since KD left. Warriors are scheduled to face Giannis and the Bucks on October 30th in Milwaukee. I need to create an engaging YouTube script following the established format with emotional hook, engaging language, proper structure, all in English. Have the Golden State Warriors just watch their championship dreams crumble before their very eyes? Imagine spending years crafting the perfect trade scenario, building relationships, and positioning your franchise for the ultimate blockbuster move, only to discover that your target superstar has his heart set on a completely different destination. Sometimes the most devastating news in the NBA doesn't come from losses on the court. It comes from realizing that the player you've been chasing for half a decade might never wear your jersey. Warriors Nation, we need to address what might be the most crushing blow to Golden State's championship aspirations in recent memory, because Giannis Antetokounmpo, the superstar they've been pursuing since 2019, has reportedly made it clear that if he leaves Milwaukee, there's only one destination he wants: the New York Knicks. ESPN's Shams Charania just dropped a bombshell report that could completely reshape the Warriors' future planning and force them to reconsider their entire approach to roster construction. Let's break down exactly what Charania revealed, because the implications extend far beyond just one potential trade. According to his reporting, the Greek Freak is becoming increasingly frustrated with how things are unfolding in Milwaukee, and his representatives have begun conducting what Charania described as serious due diligence to find the best possible outside fits throughout the league. But here's the devastating part for Warriors fans. While multiple teams were discussed internally during this exploration process, one destination emerged as Giannis's clear preference outside of Milwaukee: the New York Knicks. Not Golden State, not Miami, not any of the other championship contenders that have been linked to him over the years. The Knicks. This revelation must feel like a punch to the gut for an organization that has been methodically positioning itself for a Giannis pursuit for literally years. The Warriors' interest in Antetokounmpo dates back to 2019, and they've been consistently mentioned as a potential landing spot whenever trade speculation heats up around the two-time MVP. The timing of this news makes it even more painful, just when it seemed like Giannis might actually become available. With his frustration in Milwaukee reaching new levels and his representatives actively exploring options, the Warriors discover that they're apparently not even in the conversation for his preferred destinations. Charania's report reveals that there were actual trade discussions between the Bucks and Knicks during this past offseason, though the teams never managed to close a deal. The financial and logistical obstacles for New York remain significant, particularly after Mikal Bridges signed a contract extension on August 1st that makes him ineligible to be traded for 6 months. However, those obstacles might not matter in the long run. Giannis has 2 years remaining on his current contract, which gives him tremendous leverage in any potential trade scenario. He could essentially control his destination by informing any acquiring team that he won't re-sign after those 2 years expire, making him a rental player that few organizations would sacrifice significant assets to acquire. Charania called next summer the peak leverage moment for Giannis, suggesting that's when he might have maximum control over forcing his way to his preferred destination. If the Knicks can create the salary cap space and assemble the necessary trade package by then, this preference could become reality. For Warriors fans who remember that intriguing visit Giannis made to the Bay Area in May for a Google product launch, this news must feel particularly disappointing. Many interpreted that appearance as a subtle signal of his interest in Golden State, feeding speculation about a potential future partnership with Stephen Curry. The Athletic reported last month that the Warriors were actively pursuing stars and specifically named Antetokounmpo as a target. The obvious chemistry between Curry and Giannis, demonstrated during all-star games and international competitions, had fueled speculation that they might eventually team up in Golden State. This development effectively ends what has been a half-decade pursuit by the Warriors. Since Kevin Durant departed, Golden State has been searching for another superstar to pair with Curry while also preparing for the post-Curry era. Giannis represented the perfect solution, a player young enough to remain elite after Curry's retirement while being talented enough to immediately compete for championships alongside the current core. The basketball fit would have been absolutely spectacular. Imagine Giannis operating in Steve Kerr's motion offense, with Curry's gravity creating driving lanes and Draymond Green providing the perfect complementary skill set. The defensive versatility of pairing Giannis with Green would have been nearly unstoppable, while their offensive creativity could have revolutionized how championship teams are constructed. But now that dream scenario appears dead on arrival, Giannis's preference in New York creates a domino effect that forces the Warriors to completely reconsider their championship timeline and roster construction strategy. They can't spend the next 2 years positioning themselves for a trade that the player doesn't want to happen. The psychological impact on the organization cannot be understated. When you've been chasing a specific player for years, building your entire future planning around the possibility of acquiring him, having that door slammed shut forces fundamental reassessment of your direction. However, Charania did leave a small window of hope open during his appearance on ESPN's NBA Today. He mentioned that teams will continue monitoring the situation and making sure they don't exhaust themselves in other ways if the seismic trade possibility is still available to them in January or February. That suggests while Giannis may prefer New York, other teams shouldn't completely abandon their pursuit. Sometimes player preferences change based on circumstances, team performance, or available opportunities. The Warriors might still have a chance if the Knicks can't create a viable trade package or if Giannis becomes frustrated with the pace of negotiations. The upcoming schedule adds an interesting subplot to this story. The Warriors are set to face Giannis and the Bucks on October 30th in Milwaukee during the second week of the regular season. That game will now carry additional significance as potentially one of the final times we see this matchup before Giannis potentially moves on from Milwaukee. Looking at the broader implications, this news forces the Warriors to accelerate their search for alternative star players. If Giannis isn't available or interested, they need to identify other potential targets who could fill that same role of complementing Curry now while leading the franchise later. The Western Conference remains brutally competitive, and standing still while other teams improve their rosters is essentially moving backward. The Warriors need impact players, and if they can't get their first choice, they need to quickly pivot to their second and third options. This development also raises questions about Golden State's attractiveness to star players. If Giannis prefers New York despite the Warriors' championship pedigree and organizational excellence, what does that say about their ability to recruit other elite talents? The financial implications are significant too. The Warriors have been managing their salary cap and luxury tax situation partly with an eye toward potentially absorbing Giannis's massive contract. Now they need to reconsider how aggressively they pursue other expensive acquisitions. From a fan perspective, this news is devastating because it represents the death of a dream that seemed increasingly realistic. Warriors fans have begun imagining what their team could look like with Giannis, and having that possibility seemingly eliminated creates genuine disappointment. The reality is that in today's NBA, player empowerment means superstars largely control their destinations. If Giannis wants New York, that's probably where he'll end up eventually, regardless of what other teams might offer or how perfect the basketball fit might be elsewhere. What do you think, Warriors Nation? Is this the end of the Giannis dream? Or should Golden State continue pursuing him despite his reported preference for New York? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and hit that like button. If you believe sometimes the best moves are the ones that don't happen, the NBA is full of surprises, and player preferences can change faster than we expect.